I don't know. I don't know, but I guess you can have a look. There isn't a connection problem,
Cool.
which means there can only be there we are. So yay. Alright, hopefully that will work and the chat will work and the stream will display and
It'll be happy days.
well, it would be nice for that to actually work.
It would, yeah.
What I don't want to get is you know, encoder overloaded or any of that stuff.
Oh yeah, there's only that.
So alright then, let's get the little app back up. There we go. 5,921 passengers so far, and some black boxes and other stuff. So this is a little test stream because I've been having problems streaming lately, and it seemed to be down to software rather than hardware. So I just hope it all runs smoothly this time. Hello to anybody watching. We are the post-disaster evacuation service. We do rescues from burning stations. We're going to rescue some passengers, and then we're going to rescue some escape pods, both of which we hope will help to do two things. Firstly, to stop the stations from burning by evacuating as many people as we can, presumably so the emergency crews can get in there and put the fires out. And secondly, in the hope that they might reduce the commodities needed to repair the stations afterwards. Now, doing rescues used to affect this, apparently. There's been some debate on this in the player base, with some people saying yes they do and some people saying no they don't, and Operation Ida, the Premier Station Repair Squad, great bunch of guys and girls, they tried collecting data on this but it wasn't conclusive. They said that at times it appeared to reduce the commodities needed to repair the station afterwards by doing rescues, and at other times it appeared to do nothing at all, or that the figures that they got could just be an allowable level of randomness. Unfortunately, like so many things in this game, we can only observe, deduce, and of course it's very easy to jump to conclusions. Nevertheless, rescues are pretty fun to do, they're decent money, they're a good way to rank up with the Federation and the Empire. I don't need to do that, but for those who do, most people who drop into our Discord ask us, one of the first questions they ask us is, where can I find the Federation stations so that they can grind for a Corvette? And I'm actually using a Corvette for rescues because if you engineer the power plant to low emissions grade 3 with thermal spread and engineer the drives, the thrusters, to clean drives, again with thermal spread, then it will be able to sit inside a burning station all day long and never get above 65% heat or 67% heat in the slightly hotter parts of the station. And so It can also carry more passengers than any other ship if you go shieldless. It can carry up to 212 passengers, which no other ship can match. Not even the cutter, which I believe carries 204. The T9 will carry about 170. The Beluga, somewhere in the same ballpark. I can't remember the exact details, but we have those details on our Discord. And the Anaconda as well, similarly about 180, 190. You can use any ship you like. If you're just picking up passengers, it doesn't matter. As long as you've got a few heat sinks, you don't even need to engineer it. And a very simple thing you can do, if you don't feel like engineering a ship for this, and you do have access to the engineer Ramtar, is you can go to him and you can engineer a few heat sinks for extra ammo, and that will give you 3 heat sinks to fire off, or 4 heat sinks to fire off, instead of 3 or 2, whatever it is. So I filled up the passenger bays with passengers. You only need economy cabins. People don't mind sharing, so you don't need a separate cabin for each mission. You can just chuck them all together with as much space as you can and get to the rescue ship without delay. You're going to get messages like this with the passengers being impatient. Ignore them. You can't get to the station any faster than you're already going, and those messages will disappear once you hand them in. I'm using a shieldless build with military grade composite, engineered with heavy duty and deep plating, and in the military slots I have 2 5D hull reinforcement packages, also with heavy duty and deep plating. Once you've taken care of the overheating issue, the only damage you take from a burning station is in collisions. Explosions do not cause explosive damage or fire damage, but what they will do is blow you into debris, which will cause the collision damage. So, collision damage is the only thing you have to worry about in a burning station.
I can't actually find you on a general search on YouTube.
Try PhillP.
Okay.
So, hand these guys in before you even do any repairing, refueling or anything like that. And I just take the money. You can take the reputation if that's what you're after. You can take the data and materials if you want those, but I just take the money, because I figure that if you rescue enough people anyway, you'll quickly get allied with all of the factions. And I don't just do the Federation or the Empire factions, I do everybody. So, maximising my cash here. If I want materials, I can always get those from other places. And there's a role-playing aspect to it. It's what our squad does, you know. There's no money to be made from going out and being a fuel rat or a hull seal. This is just simply players doing it because they want to. But is that a reason not to do it? Does everything have to be about the highest payout? No. You know, this is a sandbox, and people role-play. You don't have to go out exploring, you don't have to do missions. When Odyssey comes along, you won't even have to buy a ship if you don't want one. You can just use the shuttle service that they're going to be bringing in and travel around between planet to planet. Personally, I think that would be a bit boring, and sooner or later you'd want to buy a ship and get in it and fly one around and see what's out there. And as an explorer, I like to get out into the black now and again, just get away from the bubble and everything that's going on there. The bubble being the main hub of civilization, all of the planet's systems that humanity is expanded to from Sol. And sometimes I just like to get away from civilization and go out in the black. But this time, it's humanitarian aid today. Going and clearing out the passenger board, which we're probably going to do in about 3 or 4 trips. And then we'll swap to pick up a few pods. Bit crazy that you have to ask for docking permission when there's people inside there desperate to get out. Even in an emergency, it appears they can't resist a little bit of bureaucracy. There's always some job's worth at the gate, isn't there? And so, well, it'll do. Don't like leaving an empty space, but it will do. You can target the rescue ship while you're waiting to launch, and that will save you time doing it later if you want to maximise your travel time. If you've got an unengineered ship, this is where you would fire a heat sink when you take off from the launch pad. It's nice not to have to worry about that though, and not need to fire off any heat sinks at all. And I'm up to 6,000 passengers, which is cool. You could always fit a Super Cruise Assist if you wanted. I don't bother. That's basically due to the Corvette having only one Class 1 slot, and then the others are at least a Class 3, so you can stick economy cabins in those. Economy cabins go down to size 2, but it's completely your call. I just think every extra soul helps, and because there's not much else to do with a Class 1 slot, I can be lazy one way and let it park on the rescue ship for me. I did do repair and refuel there, but there you go. Keep forgetting they've made that easier so you can just do it. So I guess you can do that if you like. Let's get these guys off. I found that they don't really offer any high grade materials for these missions anyway, no exquisite focus crystals or biotech conductors or any of the high level mats that you can't get in high grade emissions and you can't get anywhere else but from missions. They don't seem to offer these here, you know, your modified embedded firmware and your biotech conductors, your exquisite focus crystals. Is there any more? Possibly a couple more. Ultimately it doesn't matter. I'm not being ultimately efficient here. Ha, talking and playing at the same time, but we're getting the job done. We're getting people out of there. And in the time that we've been talking, that's 423 people who are not going to burn to death. Which is all good. It's always nice not burning to death. So let's see. Pretty much say that counts as a major incident. Caustic damage, bits on fire, the toast rack trashed, and inside explosions and debris. Where's my landing pad? There it is. Really? They've declared it unsafe apparently. I wonder what gave it away. Screams, flames. Alright. Getting close to running out the board now. Yeah. Gonna try and take the big amounts first. Like anything else, you've got a mission limit of 20, the maximum number of missions that you can carry. That's the same here as it is in any other station. Oh, we might get one more trip if we get big amounts like this. And a nice full hold, good. Okay. And back to the rescue ship. So, yeah. You can think of it once you've got a ship that isn't bothered by the heat, which can take a few knocks. You can think of it just like any other hauling mission, I suppose. There and back, there and back. If you're in a smaller ship and you want to get the rep, you can always take the smaller jobs for 2 people, 3 people, 5 people. And quickly gain rank. A lot of people only think of gaining Federation rank, but you can just as easily get Empire rank I did it on my second account. I used burning stations to earn the rank for a cutter. You don't get the actual ranking missions, but once you hit what you need for your next rank, you can carry on accumulating rank. And then when you're done with your rescues, go and get your ranking missions from somewhere else, and you'll probably find that you'll be going up a few ranks at once with all the rank that you've been accumulating from handing in missions and taking the reputation reward each time. As I say, I've already maxed out my reputation with the Federation and the Empire, so I'm not bothered these days. I just maximise the cash. And this is just a bit of roleplay and earning money to keep my fleet carrier going, which is currently costing me about 25 million a week. I'm not too bothered because I did a lot of mining to get the fleet carrier in the first place. Right, so that was 3 trips. This trip will probably clear out the passenger board, probably. There's a gap between probably and certainly, but it seems likely that I'll either hit my 20 mission limit or clear out the board. Either way, there won't be many passengers left until the board refreshes itself. 3 or 4 trips in a ship carrying anything over 180 passengers is usually enough to clear out a passenger board pretty quickly, and shows that the passenger boards have not really been specially set up for this. I mean, logically you would expect it to be a steady stream of passengers. We've also had situations where people have rescued more passengers than the population of the actual system. So yeah, there are bits of this exercise that could probably do with tweaking and thinking about and all the rest of it. With a station where the system is said to have population in the billions, you'd be unlikely to even be able to rescue 500,000 in a week. You might do it if you really push it and if enough people do it, but you wouldn't really make a dent on a population that size. even though it would be illogical to suppose that they would all be living in one station anyway. So yeah, I mean, this could do with a bit of a rework. They could rethink the numbers required. They could rethink quite a lot of it, really. But in the meantime, it is what it is. And we're just going with the flow here. And like the fuel rats and hull seals who roleplay rescuing other players, this is what we roleplay. We roleplay doing rescues when there are rescues. We have engineered ships for the task. We've done a lot of research into different ships to find out how well they work. The Corvette came out on top as the king of rescue ships, which is quite ironic because most people use a burning station to grind for one. And those who stick around in the squad normally get two of them, one to be a dedicated rescue ship and the other one to be, well, a warship or whatever else they were going to get it for. I imagine a warship. It's usually what you use a Corvette for. And this brings up characteristics of ships. For example, you can give a Beluga a low emissions power plant and clean drive thrusters, both grade 5, both with thermal spread, and it will still overheat in a burning station. You will still need heat sinks. You can engineer a Corvette to level 3 and it won't need them at all. You can engineer an Anaconda to level 4 and it won't need them at all. You can engineer a Cutter to level 5 and it won't need them at all. So it isn't just a case of if you do this then this. It does appear that ships have their own characteristics. And they are in some way, hidden way to us, because it's not something we can change or engineer. Those characteristics do come into play. So, when we get back, we're going to switch to cargo and collect Olympus. While we're waiting for the passenger board to refresh. So, last lot. And okay, you know, it may not be fantastic money, but it's certainly not bad money. And the fact that you're handing in up to 20 missions at a time means that you are handing in missions very, very quickly and making money very, very quickly. So, even if you're only role-playing it You can easily earn the upkeep for a fleet carrier in under an hour for a week. A week's upkeep for a fleet carrier, you can easily earn that in under an hour. Alright, so we fixed up the ship, we retouched the paint, and so it's time to swap and collect pods. And you can do this two ways. We'll swap the load out first. Now I've taken enough for 8 trips, because I'll be releasing 21 limpets with 5 class 5 collectors releasing 3 each, and 3 class 3 collectors releasing 2 each. So 21 collectors in total will be released. Forgot to select the station. That's alright, it's going to take me a couple of boosts to get out of Maslot. And it's behind the ship, so I've got to boost past it anyway. I'm in Alliance space at the moment. I did a few rescues in Seoul on Thursday and Friday, and a bit of Saturday. And then on Saturday I moved to Alliance space because there looked to be plenty of people doing rescues from Seoul. I don't think because they were particularly aligned to the Federation, but because it is the birthplace of humanity after all, and even if the Federation have turned it into a shrine, that doesn't mean they lay sole claim to it in terms of how meaningful the place is to the human race. So this time we're not landing, we're just going in and picking up everything. And then we'll go back to the mission board on the rescue ship and hand in as much of it as we can. Anything left over I'll hand in to search and rescue, but ideally you want to be handed into the mission board, because A, it pays better, and B, you're helping out all of the factions. The search and rescue, we're not quite sure about. It may only help the controlling faction, or it may help none of them at all. I've been told both. I've been told that it contributes to some big abstract figure that nobody really knows and isn't connected to any particular system. So therefore unlike the Universal Cartographics or the Authority Contact or any of the others, it won't help the controlling faction even to do that. Now let's see if this works. Sometimes... here we go. There we go. And it doesn't take them very long to pick up absolutely everything. You can get some engineering materials here which you can use to trade, and you can pick up all of the escape pods, wreckage components, black boxes, personal effects and everything else. And as we watch them making their way back to the ship, there we go, they're done. So that's everything. And the only reason why I haven't picked up the galvanizing alloys is because I'm already full. I've already got a maximum number of those. I could go and trade them at a material trader for something else, and then go and pick them all up again. But I'm not too bothered at the moment. We exit the station. And then, because the escape pods do respawn, remember we have to wait about 10-20 minutes for the passenger board to refresh, which, ludicrous as it is a situation that we have to deal with. So we can either moan about how stupid it is all day, or we can just accept it and find something else to do in the meantime, which in this case is going to be picking up pods and wreckage components and black boxes and all the other stuff, and then handing what we can in through the mission board. I'm going to do 6 trips. You can relog to the menu and back, just like you can with Jameson's crash site when you're collecting data. Same principle, or the Guardian sites if you want to collect mats from there. It's only high grade emissions as far as I know where you have to literally quit the desktop and go back in order to keep farming the same signal source. But oh, whacked by a piece of debris there, knocked slightly off course. Don't want to hover over the landing pads and get a fine. Just find a clear space. And there you are, the Corvette sitting nicely at 63% heat and staying there. So that gives you all the time in the world, well, until your docking time runs out. And here we go, there they are. Your materials, your black boxes, your damaged escape pods, everything. We're going to pick all of it up. And all of the limpets released at once there. Sometimes, for whatever reason, they don't always do that, and you have to keep flicking the fire button. Okay, few of the collector limpets have died, but that doesn't matter because there's plenty left to pick up everything. Shouldn't really delay the time taken to pick it all up by very much. Whoa. They're really not liking some of this debris. See if I can get into a slightly better position. Maybe they're getting killed coming back to the ship. But already, no valid collection targets, and even with some of the limpets expiring, it's not taking very long to gather everything and bring it back to the ship. So I'm PhillP, coordinator of the post-disaster evacuation service. Welcome to the stream. Hello to everybody watching. And we're done with another load, so we're going to do this 4 more times, and then go back to the mission board where they should pay handsomely for these items. A little bit of a timeout here, but it's not really that much of a delay, and then back you go. Take a little look, see that they're not bumping into anything. No, this time they seem to be avoiding the debris. The atmosphere and sound effects inside these stations really are spectacular. I've often said that you won't get players to agree on very much in Elite, but two things that they generally agree on is that the sound effects are brilliant and the burning stations are very good in terms of the atmosphere and the design and the sound. And there are still some people who say that perhaps they lack a bit of urgency, and I have my own issues with the way that the whole rescue mechanic works. But the idea is brilliant, and I suppose it's for that reason that I'd love to see it expanded on and made a little bit more logical than it is at the moment. Come on, Limpet. Got the slow one. One slow one at the end. There we go. He's done. So. Ooh. Just nudge that bit of debris. We're not too worried. Paying a few grand to repair the ship afterwards isn't the end of the world when you're going to be picking up 250 to 300,000 for 4 escape pods, and I'll be picking up 60 of them because there's 10 in this station. I used to take the missions first and then count up what I needed and pick up only what I needed, but honestly, you might as well go in there, pick up everything, and then just look for the missions when you get back. Just keep an eye on how many you're handing in and how many you have left, so you don't take missions for items that you no longer have because you've handed them all in. So keep that in mind. this is what I meant about sometimes they don't always all fire off at once. Still, there should be enough of them out there, even with a few failing. Let's see how many we picked up. Okay, 31. That will be 40. Looks like a lot, but with 21 limpets, or even with 10 or 12 limpets, it won't take you more than a minute or so to pick them up. About the same time as it would take you to fill up the passenger board, which is what this is about. It was about building a ship that would be able to pick up everything in a station in the same time or less time than it would take to fill up the passenger board once, so that neither activity would take any longer than the other. And that was factored into the build when I put this ship together. Wait for that last limpet to come back. And there you are. Oh, 39 escape pods. Okay, alright. Perhaps there was one stuck in the walls or something. That occasionally happens. Yeah, because it's definitely picked up everything in there. And you don't have to worry about Class A limpets either, because you're not going to live long enough to worry about expiry time. So I take Class Bs for the slightly longer range. I'm pretty sure it's not necessary, but at least I know that they will cover absolutely everything. And if it's gettable, they will get it. Occasionally you'll get little graphics glitches where you might get one stuck in the walls and your limpets will die one after the other trying to pick them up. That does happen occasionally. Otherwise, it's a fairly straightforward exercise, as you can see. With an engineered ship at least. I have the luxury of being able to sit here and not worry about firing off heat sinks, not worry about anything. Just sit there and let them do their job. But even in a non-engineered ship, if you don't mind firing off heat sinks and keeping an eye on your temperature, there's no reason why you can't sit and pick up everything in a station, or filter your list if you only want to pick up, say, occupied escape pods, which fetch the most money, and leave things like wreckage components and encrypted correspondence, which fetch the least money. But since I'm able to pick up everything, I do pick up everything. One more trip after this, and then we'll go back to the mission board. I don't sit here with a stopwatch, but by the time I've done that and gone through the mission board and handed in as much as I can, and then switched back to passenger bays, that should be about 15-20 minutes. And the passenger boards will have refreshed, and I'll be able to go and pick up another batch, clear them out, and then you can either do that, you can alternate like this, or if you have two stations together, as we do here. I'm in Gateway, the Alliance system, and not too far away from here is Alioth, which is only 30 light years away. So what I could have done as an alternative to switching between passengers and escape pods is I could have just gone to the other station, cleared out the passenger board there, and in the time taken to jump there and do that and jump back, the passenger board here would have refreshed again. So if you only want to pick up passengers and you don't want to pick up pods, or if you only have a ship with a couple of heat sinks and you don't really want to hang around firing up pods and firing them off and trying to pick up pods at the same time, then you can just alternate between two stations and get a steady flow of passengers going. So you've got options. So while it's a bit of a pain that you have to wait for the passenger board to refresh, it's not the end of the world. There are other things you can do. Unfortunately, because there isn't really enough for a wing to work together, this is not the cooperative exercise it could be. So although we are a squad, we actually work as individuals in our own instances, because otherwise we would just be taking jobs off each other and items off each other, and that's a bit of a shame, and something that I've long held that they should be looking at, you know, and perhaps they will at some point, but I don't expect it to happen anytime soon, with all of the focus on bringing out Odyssey and just reusing existing assets to give us a storyline that will be continued in Odyssey. So a bit of a shame. Because it does give the impression of being a brilliant but half done idea in that respect. There we go. So this will be the last trip. I do have the limpets to stay here and do a couple more, but I'm not too worried. 6 trips are usually enough to be able to almost completely empty the mission board. Like I say, you can hand these items in to the search and rescue contact if you wish. You'll get peanuts for them though, only a few thousand each. So you can either do that, or if there's missions requiring them, I'll show you the difference when we get back to the rescue ship, which we're going to now. Back to the rescue ship. Boost and boost and boost until we're out of mass lock. Put hard points away. And off we go. Okay. Boost a bit towards the landing pad and then let the docking computer take over when we're more or less above it. There we go. Nice thing about escape pods as well, they don't nag you like the passengers do. You don't get messages coming up in the chat room, in the chat window. Escape pod impatient, black box impatient. So that's a plus. So you can just take time out even to completely fix up your ship. So we go to the mission board rather than the passenger board this time. And there you go. Now, got 28 personal effects. 59 occupied escape pods. For some reason there was only 9 instead of 10 on one of those instances. It happens, but this is why I'm saying keep an eye on it. When you take the second mission, the first mission turns up, and then the second mission turns up. So that's really weird. But anyway, we'll take that up, and we'll take that up, and there you go. Hand that in, hand that in. Wreckage components. Yep, can do that. 181,000 for wreckage components. Four escape pods, 350,000. 3 escape pods, 239,000. Prices vary a bit, but if I just come out for a moment and go into search and rescue, look at that. You'd only get 2,000 for a black box. You'd only get 2,000 for an occupied escape pod. Bit of a difference. So you can see how profitable the mission board can be, and not only that, but you're also getting reputation with the various factions. So if you are going for that Federation or Empire rank, then this is as valid a way to do it as handing in passengers, and gives you something to do while you're waiting for the passenger board to refresh. So it's silly money for small amounts of materials that you're picking up very quickly in a big enough ship with only a slight amount of engineering. Then we can accept that mission. We can accept that mission as well. Yeah, still got plenty of those. Running a little bit fast for the transaction server. Okay, so how are we doing on those? We're doing okay. Occupied escape pods, yeah. Encrypted correspondence, yeah, still got some of that. Hand those in. Damaged escape pods, yeah. Ha. Yeah, black box, we're still fine with that. Before I accept any more missions, I'll just go back there and hand them in. Right. And hand those black boxes in. Occupied escape pods, yep, still got 20 of those. Wreckage components, I have 5 of them. So no more missions for wreckage components. The last 2 will just have to be handed in through search and rescue. But for every 4 or 5 jobs, you're picking up $1 million. Yeah, wreckage components, I think I'm out of those. Black boxes, I do still have some of them. Yeah. Occupied escape pods, definitely still got some of those. Ha, and because I'm not taking that mission, this is the only pain, that sometimes it doesn't show up until, well, always it doesn't show up until your second mission. There you are, but coming out and back in also achieves the same thing. I've only got 6 occupied escape pods now, so if I take that one and that one, that's all of my occupied escape pods handed in, which is good. Encrypted correspondence, yes. Black boxes, yep. This is just where you have to be careful not to take a mission that you don't have items for, because I don't want to abandon the mission and lose reputation. my black boxes. So encrypted correspondence, personal effects and damaged escape pods. Do we have any? No. So there you go, cleared out the board, and there's a few that I still can't sell. So these will go through for peanuts, but to get shot of them. There we go. So there you are, 6 trips, picking up everything. I'll just see if I've got any encrypted correspondence. Yes, I have. You can't hand that into the search and rescue, so you have to sell it through the commodities market. And then the last thing I will do is go to restock and empty the cargo bay, sell back the limpets that I've not used, and then go into outfitting, change back to passenger bays, and in the 15-20 minutes that it's taken me to pick up those items, the passenger board is refreshed, so I can go back and I can pick up those items again. I can pick up passengers again and do 3 or 4 trips, and then alternate like that between passengers and pods for as long as I like. Yep, and there we are, and I'm fixed up and ready to go and get some passengers, and the board should have refreshed. There you go, quick tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. That's it from me for the moment. Thanks for watching. Any questions, leave them in the comments. If you want to join our Discord, we're always glad to meet new people. And thanks for